when it all goes wrong on this episode of Develop and Process. So you may have noticed I'm not up north. I'm not in Lassen Volcanic National Park or anything like that. So I have some good news and I have some bad news, and I promise this video is about photography. You just got to stick to the end. But basically, if you watched my last video, I announced that I was working on planning a trip up north to Lassen Volcanic National Park and the Redwoods to go camping for about a week. And do some large format landscape photography. And I'd been planning that trip for about 2 or 3 weeks in earnest, like just doing all kinds of work, buying film, prepping cameras, sorting gear, packing gear, getting everything ready, buying a lot of supplies, making all kinds of campground reservations, national park reservations, things like that. Getting it all squared away, making sure all my gear was dialed in, planning my meals, my food and water, fuel requirements, logistics, all of that stuff that comes with a major trip like that. And I'd spent hundreds of dollars getting ready for this trip and weeks of time, and actually been looking forward to this trip for probably close to a year. This is kind of the early summer up north trip that I was going to do, and it was a really huge deal that I've been looking forward to. So after those 2 weeks of planning, I shared in my video I had a lot of concerns and anxieties, and it turns out they were founded. The things that I worried about actually all came true. And so the morning of the trip, I kissed my wife goodbye, left early in the morning, I started driving, and I drove about 3 hours from home, about 150 miles out. I was climbing a really long, drawn-out mountain pass, and I probably picked the worst day of the year to do it because it was like 110 degrees Fahrenheit, which is ridiculously hot. I want to say like mid-40s in Celsius. It was really hot, and I was climbing the mountain pass, and of course my truck starts getting hot on the temperature gauge, so I turn off the air conditioning, and it keeps, that didn't work. Normally that works, and so I keep driving, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I need to do more. So I, roll my windows down, and I turn the heater on full blast to try and vent the engine, and normally that really works, and that didn't do it, and so it keeps getting hotter and hotter and hotter, and it starts getting up to the red line, and I'm like, I gotta stop. I can't drive like this. And so I was coming up to an exit ramp, and I just coast down that exit ramp, rolled into a parking lot of a gas station, pulled the truck off into the corner, popped the hood, and as I'm getting out of the truck, I see engine coolant just dumping all over the ground, coming out the back of the engine. That's not good. It's running all down the drive shafts on the transfer case. It's coming out of everywhere. It's all inside the engine compartment. Pop the hood, and there's pressurized coolant and steam just rocketing out of one of the hoses that had blown. But that is actually separate from the coolant that was shooting out of the bottom of the engine compartment. And it was just a total wreck. So I took some Gorilla Tape and zip ties and zip tied the blown hose back together so I could hold the coolant in and physically drive. And I took some of my spare coolant out the back and topped up the radiator. And then I quickly called my wife, let her know what was going on, looked for a auto repair shop, and found a 5-star shop on Yelp, which was right around the corner. So I was able to limp over to there, just kind of coasting. And they were slammed. They had like 25 cars ahead of me. I had to park in a dirt lot down the street. But they finally got around to looking at the truck, and they patched up the heater. The heater hose was the one that had blown on the top. They patched that up, replaced it right off the bat, no big deal. But they're like, you got something else wrong with your engine, because this is like a minor issue compared to, what's coming out the bottom in all of this. And so they start looking around the bottom, and they're like, well, you got this coupling's blown, this hose is blown, but we think, the fact that it overheated this much, I think there might be something else going on. So they're looking, they're running all these tests, and they run a chemical test, and they run a pressure test, and they're doing all this. And basically, it failed the pressure test catastrophically. There's just, as soon as they pressurize the cooling system, there's just stuff shooting out everywhere. And then they ran a chemical test because they were like, we got to check your head gaskets because it just seems like that maybe what the issue is. So they checked the head gasket and it failed the head gasket test. So that meant that the head gasket was blown. And they're like, well, you can physically drive it after we patch it up, but you're going to have to go slow. You're going to be in the slow lane. You're going to be coasting. You got to really keep your, AC off, heater on. You've really got to limp home basically. And that's if you're willing to gamble. You might be smarter to tow it. And they're like, and if your engine overheats at all, you're going to blow your entire motor. It'll be toast. And, this is a 5-star shop. They've got They got customers everywhere, and some of the customers are like, yeah, man, I've been here for 25 years. These guys are great. They're super honest and hardworking and everything. And they got the Yelp reviews to back it up, long history. So it's not like they're shady. And here's the thing. That particular vehicle, the Toyota 3.0 liter V6 on the 4Runners, is notorious for coolant system failures and head gasket problems. And so that was kind of always lingering in the back of my mind ever since I bought the truck. This could be an issue. And the previous owner had fixed it. But, so I figured I wouldn't have any issues with it. Well, it's been many years since then. And in California, we just have these brutal desert summers. And they're just really hard on engines. So, long story short, they told me it's going to be $400 to fix the bottom part, $1,200 to $1,600 to fix the head gasket problem, then another $85 to fix the other thing. And, that's on top of the fact that truck needed a lot of other stuff like shocks and, different engine thing. Oh, it has an oil leak and it needs a main seal and a rear seal and all this stuff. So anyway, I get home and, I start running the numbers. And when you got a Toyota motor, an old classic Toyota motor like that, and you blow something like a head gasket and your whole coolant system catastrophically fails in 4 places at once. That's kind of like you have a thoroughbred racehorse and it broke its ankle and then flipped over on the racetrack, and just went tumbling down and then got trampled by all the other horses. It's time to put it down, which, that's a terrible analogy because I don't like the idea of putting horses down at all. But, the concept of just you have this investment and I'm sorry, but it's just not going to work out. So, I had to sell the truck as is for parts of repair. I listed out everything that was wrong with it in great detail. Was totally honest about the whole thing. I was like, you know what? The truck's a really nice truck, but you're going to have to put some mechanical work into it. And amazingly sold it in a few hours for a full asking price, so I had no issues with that. But the bottom line is I can't replace it with a truck that's similar because I just don't want to end up in the same situation all over again. I want to invest in something that's going to be longer term, that's going to be more reliable, more capable, and something I will not be afraid to fix. And so what that means is I'm without a vehicle for a while. It's going to be at least a couple months, more or less, because I have to save up and, do a lot of research and save up some more. Because vehicles are expensive. And the thing with this vehicle, this is the way I do all my landscape photography. It is my primary means of transport for everything I do on this channel. For my landscape photography, that's it. And so essentially this torpedoes my landscape photography completely for at least the next couple of months. It's a pretty big setback. Sometimes life serves you lemons. So, not to be a downer, I am really working aggressively on some stuff. I've done a ton of homework and research. I've got plans, and I'm trying to figure out that lemonade recipe. So I got to turn the situation around. So that brings me to the good news. The good news is, yes, I'm going to replace it, obviously. I'm working on putting together a new expedition vehicle. That's going to be a long-term project. But hopefully I can pick up the base vehicle in the next couple of months and then start slowly building it out into a capable overland expedition rig for my landscape photography trips. Haven't completely made up my mind yet. I'm between a Jeep Wrangler and a Toyota Land Cruiser, kind of weighing my options there. But anyway, so the bottom line is I do need your help with this problem because, frankly, I live in this city. And if it were not for my landscape photography trip, I could just buy a compact car, hybrid. Our other car is a Prius. That's what my wife drives for her work, and be done with it. So the overland vehicle is essentially a landscape photography tool. And so because of that, I really need the landscape photography to pay for that tool in order to justify its existence. And that's the tricky bit. So the bottom line is nobody pays me to make this YouTube channel. Nobody pays me to do this photography. And these things, this channel, this photography costs me thousands of dollars out of my own pocket that never gets reimbursed at all by anyone. And it costs me hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of work that's never paid, that's never reimbursed. I just do it because it's my passion. I love it, and I have a passion for helping you guys level up your landscape photography and just sharing this whole passion with you. And so what I'm going to do is, the reason I'm standing in front of this print here is I've been kind of thinking about and talking about having a print sale for months, and I've got 3 different projects in the works. I am going to be coming out with issue 3 of my magazine and a portfolio boxed set in the foreseeable future. However, neither of those is ready right now, and that's going to take me some time to get ready. So what is ready right now, that's honestly been on the back shelf for a long time and has been in the works for a long time, is, as you know, I'm very passionate about printing your work, about living with artwork, being influenced by physical material artwork. And by living with it, I think that's the best way to be influenced by it. And so I live with artwork in my life all the time. This is an example. I've got these all over my house. And this one here is a 16 by 20 inch print from Zion National Park that I shot on the Intrepid 8x10 prototype on Kodak Ektar 100. And yeah, it's a beautiful print. If you watch my Intrepid 8x10 review, you'll see the detail is just absolutely nuts in this print. So what I want to do for you guys is I want to be able to offer these, the same images I use to decorate my home. Not the exact ones, but you know what I mean. I'm going to make some of these for you. These are 16 by 20 inch prints from large format film. And these particular ones are on Fuji Crystal Archive. It's a pretty obviously industry standard paper stock for photographic printing. And I do these through a lab, and I send them ridiculously high resolution files that are probably going to max out the capabilities of their printers. And I really push the envelope on what I can do as far as quality. Now, the reason I picked 16 by 20 is because they are easy to frame and they are reasonably cost effective to ship. If you start making bigger prints, they start costing more to frame by orders of magnitude. This one here, you can literally go down to your local arts and crafts store, pick up a stock frame and mat that's ready to go, and have it framed within a matter of minutes yourself. You don't need to pay someone to do it. You don't have to have a custom picture frame built. And you can have this thing on your wall like that, super easy. And it's affordable. That's really critical. You can pick these frames up, 50% off, and they got like buy one, get one deals and all kinds of stuff all the time. And so I bought this one at Michael's. Again, I want the art to not be cost prohibitive, and I don't want it to be space prohibitive. Anybody can fit a 16 by 20 in their home or office. You may not have room for a 40 by 50 inch print. Now, if you do, awesome, get in touch with me and I'll be happy to make you one. But this print sale is for everybody who just wants to own some artwork and maybe doesn't have the space or the money to get some humongous piece of art. And so I'm gonna be able to ship you these prints. Now, the other thing is, like I said, affordability. So what I'm gonna try and do is offer 2 of these, a 2-for-1 deal, and tentatively $125 shipped worldwide for 2 16 by 20 inch signed prints. And it's going to be a limited edition. I'm going to borrow this idea from Thomas Heaton and do a time limited edition, which means that the prints will be available for the duration of the print sale, and then that's it, and we cut it off. And so however many sell during that sale, that's how many sells and are out in the world. And, if they don't sell, then that's it. We cut it off. And so that's kind of a narrow time window. Now, my plan is August 2nd to launch the print sale and wrap it up on August 16th. Again, with that affordability in mind, I want everyone to be having their first of the month payday. Print sale starts. And if that's, so I was thinking, even if that's too much, maybe you can't spare $125 on your first paycheck of the month. Well, you can set aside $62.50 or so. And then on August 15th, you get your next paycheck. You can set aside another $62.50, and then you have the availability, and the sale is still open until August 16th. So that's kind of the thinking there. I live in the real world. I have paychecks and bills and life, and I know that art is a luxury for a lot of people, and it's not affordable. And so I'm trying everything I can to make this affordable for you, accessible. And if you have any questions about framing, matting, shipping, any of that, feel free to ask them. So that's what I'm working on right now, is that print sale. The reason I'm telling you right now, this is not the official print sale announcement, but I want you to kind of mentally have this in your mind, set aside the funds for that, so that when I do announce the print sale, you're able to come out and get some of the artwork and hopefully, help me through this situation and replace my truck. So this will be a fundraiser, and 100% of the proceeds after my costs and shipping and all of that will go to my landscape photography, reimbursed into the landscape photography to get a new vehicle so I can get back out there and film videos for you guys and make the photos. So that's the video. Sometimes life serves you lemons, and that's what I'm dealing with right now. Just trying to have as positive as possible an attitude towards all of this, and really deliver value for you guys. Definitely going to be making some videos on scanning and printing in the future with all the details. But for now, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed, please subscribe to the channel and like the video. And until next time, stay curious.